So nice work. Awesome. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Liz Johnson. I am one of Holly's best friends and maid of honor. And I've known Holly since she was about 16 years old. Years ago, I started dating Holly's older brother. And when I say years ago, I mean years and years and years ago. I started dating Rudy. One weekend, I was dog sitting for Lynn and Carl. And I hadn't really ever met, I'd met Holly, but I'd never talked to her. And she came home, she was in high school, she came home and sat down on the couch with me, and we started chit-chatting, and I was like, oh, she's a pretty cool girl. And then I realized a couple hours had gone by, and we were still sitting there, and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, just talking about everything, life, school, everything in general. And I thought, wow, this girl is awesome. She is absolutely amazing. Now, I have a little sister. She actually got married last August, and I was the maid of honor at her wedding. And my sister Steph and we're close, but I will have to say that when it comes to like that special sister bond that people have, Holly and I have it. Steph and I, we do, but it's not that deep. Quit that. Holly has been in my life for almost 7 years now, and she is my best friend, and I love her dearly. We've gone through a ton of ups and downs, and gone through a lot of good times and some bad times. And when I was writing this speech, I was thinking to myself, God, we've had a lot of fun times together, most of which I cannot tell you guys at all, because it would be really embarrassing. And I remember those times probably more than the nice times. But, at one point, Holly had a key to my apartment. And I always knew when she was going to stay there, because half of my food would be gone, and so would half of my clothes. About a month would go by, and I call Holly and I go, you know, I'm looking for this t-shirt or this outfit. Have you seen it? Yeah, I have that. I'll get it back to you, sorry. Or we'd go into lunch or something, and I'd see her. I'm like, oh, hey, I have that shirt. She goes, yeah, it's yours. Sweet, awesome. So I absolutely adore her. Now Kevin, I've known Kevin for a while too. Kevin was one of Rudy's friends, so he obviously was adopted into my friends. And when Holly told me, yeah, so you know, Kevin and I have been hanging out lately, and I'm like hanging out or like hanging out? She's like hanging out, and I'm like, ooh, really? and not because he's a bad guy by any means, but it's Kevin. And I never actually thought that like those two would fit at all, but they do. They're pretty much perfect for each other with their love of fishing and hunting and family and sloths. And penguins, of course. We all know Holly, she loves penguins too. And so, they definitely make a perfect couple. I love you both and could not be more honored to be a part of your special day as your maid of honor. So thank you so very, very, very much. And Holly, today you look absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I love you dearly, and I, as any big sister would be, am so very, very, very proud of you. And I just want to make a comment that on Monday, if Holly was not on her honeymoon, she would be graduating from college. And that is a huge accomplishment, and I'm so proud of her, so please give her a round of applause for that. She has worked so hard. You have no idea how many times this girl has called me and been like, oh, I don't think I can do this. And I knew she could, she's so smart. And with high honors, thank you, Lynn, and with high honors too. So, I took up most of your time, so I apologize, because most of you know me and you know I could go on for hours, because I like to talk. But, I just want everybody to please raise their glasses for a toast. So, my quote for you is, love does not make the world go round. Love is what makes the ride worthwhile. So here is to the ride of your lives. Cheers. And here's Jay.
been buddies with Kevin for about 10 years now, and met him through one of our good buddies, Benny Oliver. And Kevin and I have always been big into the hunting and fishing scene. And every year, a group of us try and go on some type of trip together. Well, a few years back, we were in North Dakota on a mule deer hunting trip. And a few days into the trip, we were already running short on supplies. We need to make a run into town for the Berry Essentials. Now, keep in mind, the Berry Essentials at that time consisted of beer and toilet paper, listed in order of importance. And to drive into town, we had to drive through 3 Roosevelt National Park. And for those of you who have been through a national park before, you know that on the side of the road, there's always signs clearly stating not to approach the wildlife and not to get off the roadway. Well, a little while into our drive, and Kevin's driving, he pulls over, puts the truck in park, and points out this buffalo bedded down on the side of the road, about 30-40 yards off the road. Kevin reaches in the back of his truck, grabs his fancy camera, which he always has, and offers to take a photograph of me with this wild buffalo. Now, I had read the signs, I knew the warnings, but after careful observation, Kevin and I both agreed that it looked to be what we determined as a friendly and well-mannered buffalo. So, I agreed to hop out of the truck. I went out there, gave the thumbs up, Kevin snapped the photograph, I hopped back in the truck, and I didn't notice it at the time, but now looking back on it, I distinctly remember that as Kevin was snapping the photograph, he had his fast-paced, high-pitched, what I like to call the hyena laugh. When Kevin is nervous, scared, and excited all at the same time, this laugh rears its ugly head. And he did it, but I didn't think anything of it, and I hopped back in the truck, and everything seemed fine to me, and we headed into town, got the Berry Essentials, the beer, the toilet paper, and headed back to the trailer that the ranch had us put up on. And at that time, Kevin is now showing this photograph to Richie and Minard, who we went on the trip with. And Kevin still has this nervous, fast-paced hyena laugh. Kevin, maybe you could do that for us. That's it. That's the laugh. So finally, I break down and I need to take a look at this picture. And we do have a visual aid to my right. This is when Kevin zooms in on me. You can tell that I'm very content. I'm just happy to get my picture taken with this friendly and well-mannered buffalo. And then in true Kevin Herlitzke fashion, he zooms out and shows me what the hyena laugh came from. Not only had this once friendly, well-mannered, bedded down buffalo stood up, it also put its tail up in the air, had its head down, and if you look close enough, you can actually see what I believe to be fire and smoke pouring out of this beast's nostrils. Now, at this point, Kevin is laughing so hard he can barely make out words, but I'm a little bit upset because I'm just happy that I had my picture taken, and I find out that this buffalo is about ready to trample me to death. And I don't know a lot about buffaloes. Most I've learned has been on the National Geographic Channel, sitting on my couch in my pajamas. But I'm pretty sure that this buffalo was ready to trample me. And I had to ask Kevin, why didn't you tell me anything, Kevin? And Kevin at this point can barely make out words, but he manages to make out the words to me. I had it under control. Now, believe it or not, there is a life lesson to be learned from this story. Whenever you're in a tight spot, whether you need help moving, you need help dragging out a deer from a steep ravine, let's say that you're face to face with a wild buffalo in a potentially life-threatening crisis. Let's just say. Kevin is the one guy that you want to have in your corner. He doesn't ask any questions. If you need him, he's going to be there. He never really elaborated on what his plan was and how he had it under control. But I like to think that he did. And knowing Kevin for as long as I've known Kevin, I can honestly say that I've never seen him quite as happy as he's been since he's been with Holly. And I've gotten to know Holly pretty well over the last couple of years too, and it's pretty easy to see why that is. She's just as willing to help out, she's just as nice, probably even nicer. And these two make quite the team, and I can't be more happy of them and more proud for them. So congratulations, guys. We can all raise our glasses and give a toast to the happy couple. Congratulations, guys.
After being in the bar business for like almost 40 years, heard many, many stories, and I've told a few, but I'm not going to tell any of those right now. First of all, I'm going to tell a hunting story, and then I'm going to tell a fishing story. And you're going to see in the end how they come together. The most beautiful smile in the world. First one, hunting story. About 10 years ago, opening day of deer hunting, we're on our land north of Black River Falls. Holly and I were up in an elevated stand. It's late in the day and nothing. Holly's sitting there. Put your head down like you were on the railing. You were sitting there. No, you weren't even looking anymore. You were saying, Dad, when they coming? I'd say soon. You know, it's getting late in the day and no deer yet. It was pretty frustrating, and I'm going to tell you right now, I was pretty skeptical at anything. Well, then all of a sudden, there it is. There's a deer. Ah, deer. And she aims and she shoots. And the deer ran off. And I said, I think you hit him, Hal. I said, you stay here. So I walked over. It was a pretty good shot. And there I could see in the leaves where the deer had been. And I started looking for blood. And nothing. And I looked. And I looked. And I walked back and forth. And I turned around and I can see Holly way in the background. I can see her face. And I almost gave up. It's getting towards dark, and I got down on my hands and knees, and I looked, and there was a pin drop of blood, just a tiny pin drop. And I went a little farther, and there was another one, and then another one. And I started walking, and it got easier to follow, and there was more and more, and I went over the hill, and there was her first deer piled up down there. She'd made the perfect shot. How that deer ever went anywhere, nobody knows. I mean, the deer hunters out here, you've seen them, but this deer, it was running dead from the beginning. And I was hooting and hollering, and I don't think Holly could hear me. And I come back, and I can see her, and I can see the anticipation in her eyes. And I said, you got him, Hal. And I'll tell you, there was a smile that could melt tires, the first deer. I mean, what a proud day for a father. Well, now the second one's a fishing story. This is going back about a year ago. And Holly and Kevin were out fishing near Stoddard. And we got a call late in the day, and Holly says, got the biggest fish I ever got in my life. Gotta show it to you. Gotta show it to you. Okay, so about a half an hour later, truck pulls up out front with a boat, and Kevin, I come down the steps, and Kevin kind of walks by me and didn't say much. I said, well, where's the fish? And Holly's standing by the boat, and she doesn't, I said, let me see it. Well, where's Julia? Where's Therese? And she wanted to wait for them. So in a short time, they came down, and Julia and Therese came over, and I turned, and there was that smile again, and she showed me her left hand with that ring. The smile that could melt tires. And there it was. And oh, what a day. What a day. And that was it. And this wasn't part of my speech, but earlier today when I saw them two lighting them candles, I saw that smile again. I'm so proud and honored to call Kevin my son-in-law. So to you, raise your glasses, please. A toast to a long, happy, and fruitful life together.